Today we're going to be talking about different kinds of words that have to pertain to the arts, particularly to music or to art, as in the special subjects you might encounter at school. First, we're going to take a look at musical instruments. Musical instruments are categorized or put into groups by families. Just like you might look the same as a family member, or you might do things in a similar way as another one of your family members, instruments are similar in certain ways, and so they're grouped into groups called families. So there's one family called the percussion family. You can see some of the instruments represented here. This is not all inclusive. That means I don't have every instrument that belongs in the family, just some of them. You can see the bass drum, which is that low sound. You can see some of the snare drums up on the top. You can see the cymbals that are hit with a stick in order to produce this sound. Here's another family of instruments. This family of instruments is a string family. There are some common instruments like an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, some other ones like a banjo. You might have something like a violin or viola or cello. Here's a harp. All of these instruments have strings that you pluck or move in order to produce the sound that you want. Another family of instruments is the woodwind family. The woodwind family is grouped into flutes like a piccolo or a flute, or instruments that have a piece of wood or a reed attached to the mouthpiece at the top. That vibrates and it produces the sound that you hear. The different keys on the instrument are pressed in order to produce different notes. Here are some woodwind instruments, but not all of them: clarinet, piccolo, and flute. Finally, another group of instruments that you might hear in a band or an orchestra would be the brass section. So here are two examples. Again, there are more. Here is a trombone, and here is a trumpet. The sound goes through the wind, or the air goes through the mouthpiece here. The sound's adjusted as you either press the valves or move the slide in and out to different positions. And the sound finally comes out through the bell or the mouthpiece, the bell or the horn at the end of the instrument. Those are different families of instruments. Another class that you might have in school, a special class, is art class. Here are some common types of art that you might come across. Sometimes people get confused with the word paint in English. In Spanish, you might say pintar to mean like this kind of paint, con pintura. But sometimes we say pintar un dibujo, which in English really means that you're not painting the picture, you're coloring it because you're using crayons. So be careful about this difference. Paint with a brush, color with a crayon. Here are two more examples of art media that you might encounter. Sometimes people make sculptures out of different types of materials. In this picture, it's out of clay, but sculptures can be made out of other items as well. It could be out of soap. It could be out of even butter, like is famous at the PA Farm Show in January. This particular person is making a type of pottery. Pottery is often made for use either as a decorative purpose, that means just because it's pretty, because it's fancy, or for use as like tableware, bowls, mugs, plates, those types of items. Here's a picture of a collage. A collage is a group of pictures that are all together as one picture. In this case, it was different types of trace, but they're used to compare and to contrast and to put them all together to make one image out of many images or multiple images. Those are different kinds of words that pertain to both music in terms of instruments and art in terms of different types of art you might encounter.